Holy shit. Oh my god.
We are living in a world where the old system is not just failing us, it's actively lying to us, feeding off us, and pretending it's saving us while it rots from the inside out. And the reason so many people feel like this whole thing needs to be torn down before it can be rebuilt is because it's no longer a question of fixing the system. It's a question of whether anything genuine is left underneath all the performance, the hypocrisy, and the noise. Think about it. For decades, we've been told that the media is our watchdog, that politicians are our representatives, that celebrities are our role models, and that the entertainment industry is here to reflect our values back to us. But what we are seeing now is something very different. We are seeing an ecosystem where truth is secondary to clicks, where power is secondary to image, and where morality is secondary to branding. The old system is not broken in the sense of, oops, something went wrong. It's broken in the sense of, this was never built to serve us in the first place. Let's start with the media. The media is supposed to inform us. It's supposed to hold power to account. It's supposed to shine a light on corruption, injustice, and abuse. Instead, what we get is a conveyor belt of outrage, fear, and distraction. One day the world is ending because of this scandal. The next day, it's that crisis. And the day after that, both of them are quietly forgotten because the ratings dropped and something else is more profitable. The media doesn't just report the news anymore. It manufactures it. It picks the stories that will make you angry, scared, or addicted. And then it feeds you the same emotional script over and over again. And who benefits from that? Not you. Not the working class guy trying to pay rent. Not the single parent trying to raise kids. Not the student trying to get through university. The people who benefit are the ones who own the platforms, who control the algorithms, who decide what gets amplified and what gets buried. The media has become a weaponized entertainment machine dressed up as a public service. It pretends to be on your side while it sells your attention to the highest bidder. Then there's politics. Politicians stand on stages, in front of microphones, in front of cameras, and they talk about the people, the future, the nation. They give speeches about sacrifice, about unity, about responsibility. And then they fly in private jets to climate conferences. They live in multi-million-dollar homes. They take donations from corporations that profit from the very problems they claim to be fighting. They tell us we need to tighten our belts, to recycle more, to eat less meat, to drive less, to consume less. While they jet set across the world, burning more carbon in a single weekend than most families burn in a year. This isn't just hypocrisy. This is a system that is structurally designed to separate the rulers from the ruled. The people who make the decisions don't live with the consequences of those decisions. They don't feel the rent hikes. They don't feel the job insecurity. They don't feel the pressure of trying to raise kids in a world that keeps getting more expensive and more unstable. They live on the outside, looking in, telling us how we should live our lives, while they enjoy a lifestyle that is completely disconnected from our reality. And then there's the entertainment age of entitlement. We live in a culture where fame is worshipped, where wealth is glorified, where looks are monetized, and where attention is the new currency. Celebrities, influencers, media personalities, they tell us what beauty is, what success is, what happiness is, while they themselves are often miserable, addicted, or completely detached from any sense of real purpose. They promote Botox, facelifts, lip fillers, waist trainers, and extreme diets as if these are the keys to self-worth. While normal people are left feeling like they are not good enough unless they look like a filtered version of themselves. The entertainment industry sells us an image of perfection, and then it sells us the products to chase that image. It tells us to be confident, to love ourselves, to embrace our flaws, while simultaneously profiting off of our insecurities. It's a cruel loop. You are told you are unique and special, but only if you look a certain way, act a certain way, buy certain things, and follow certain trends. And if you don't, you are made to feel like you are behind, like you are not trying hard enough, like you're not worthy of love or respect. At the same time, these same celebrities and media figures are the ones preaching about inclusion, about tolerance, about social justice. They talk about being against ICE, against racism, against inequality, against oppression. And on the surface, that sounds noble. But the problem is that they often have nothing in common with the people they are supposedly speaking for. They don't live in the neighborhoods they talk about. They don't face the same risks. They don't share the same struggles. They don't even speak the same language. In the literal and figurative sense, they can afford to be inclusive. But inclusion doesn't cost them anything. They can afford to be against ICE, because they are not the ones dealing with the consequences of open borders or broken immigration systems. They can afford to be woke, because their careers are built on being seen as morally superior, not on actually living the realities they are talking about. And when real people try to point that out, they are labelled as ignorant, hateful, or backward. The system protects its own, even when its own are completely out of touch. This is why the old system feels like it needs to be torn down. Because it's not just a few bad apples. It's the whole barrel. It's a system where the media doesn't inform, it manipulates. The politicians don't represent, they perform. The celebrities don't inspire, they exploit. The institutions don't protect, they preserve themselves. And the people who have lived their lives on the outside, watching the lower middle class on the inside, have been telling us how we should live our lives for decades. They've told us to work harder, to be more grateful, to be more tolerant, to be more forgiving. While they enjoyed privileges they never earned and rarely acknowledge. They've lectured us about climate change while flying private jets. They've preached about equality while living in gated communities. They've talked about authenticity while building their entire careers on curated images and manufactured personas. The result is a deep, simmering anger. Not the kind of anger that's just about one issue or one event, but a structural anger at the entire setup. People are tired of being lied to. They are tired of being manipulated. They are tired of being told what to think, what to feel, and what to buy by people who have no real stake in their lives. They are tired of watching the same faces, the same voices, the same institutions keep getting a pass while ordinary people keep paying the price. And that's where the idea of tearing it all down comes from. It's not just a desire for chaos. It's a recognition that you can't reform a system that is fundamentally corrupt. You can't patch up a house that's built on rotten wood. You can't trust a system that has spent decades proving it doesn't trust you. The old system has shown its true colours. It's shown that it will protect its own, it will protect its profits, it will protect its power, no matter what it costs the rest of us. So what does rebuilding look like? It doesn't mean starting from nothing. It means starting from a place of honesty. It means building institutions that are accountable, transparent, and rooted in the communities they serve. It means creating media that informs instead of manipulates, politics that represents instead of performs, and culture that inspires instead of exploits. It means valuing real contribution over fame, real character over image, and real integrity over branding. Rebuilding also means listening to the people who have been on the inside, not just the people who have been watching from the outside. It means listening to the lower middle class, to the working class, to the people who actually live with the consequences of bad policies, bad decisions, and bad systems. It means recognizing that the people who are closest to the problem are often the ones with the clearest view of the solution. The old system isn't going to fix itself. It's not going to suddenly become honest, humble, or accountable. It's going to keep doing what it's always done, protecting its own, feeding off the public, and pretending it's on our side. The only way to change that is to stop pretending it can be reformed and start building something better in its place. That doesn't mean violence. It doesn't mean chaos. It means clarity. It means recognizing that the Emperor has no clothes and refusing to keep pretending otherwise. It means rejecting the fake narratives, the empty slogans, the performative activism, and the manufactured outrage. It means demanding real accountability, real transparency, and real consequences for those who abuse power. And it means creating your own space, whether that's through independent media, through community organising, through honest art, or through simply speaking the truth in a world that rewards lies. The old system depends on your silence, your obedience, and your distraction. The moment you stop playing along, the moment you start building alternatives, you start tearing it down from the inside out. So yes, the old system needs to be torn down. Not because destruction is the goal, but because the system itself is the obstacle. It's blocking the way to something better, something more honest, something more fair. And until it's gone, or at least fundamentally reshaped, we're just rearranging the furniture on a sinking ship. The question isn't whether the system is broken. The question is whether we are going to keep pretending it can be fixed, or whether we are going to start building the world we actually want to live in.
Quick heads up before we keep going. I've got a Facebook page where I post a lot more of this stuff. It's not a business page, it's not monetized, and it's not a brand. It's a non-profit page. I run it purely because I think these conversations actually matter. No sponsors, no ads, no fake positivity, just raw clips, thoughts, arguments, humour, and uncomfortable topics people avoid. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not pushing an agenda. It's just a place for people who still like thinking, questioning, disagreeing, and laughing without everything being cleaned up for algorithms. If you agree with me, disagree with me, or just want somewhere that isn't filtered to death, the link's there. You'll usually see stuff there before it ever hits YouTube. Alright?
So I just wanted to be clear about something. These videos do use AI to help structure the scripts. But the ideas, talking points, and principles behind them are mine. They are things I've believed and thought about long before I ever started uploading. I don't speak on topics I'm clueless about, or chasing trends for clicks. I talk about things I actually understand and have strong opinions on. I've also been honest with myself lately. If this channel doesn't hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I'll probably step away from YouTube. Not out of bitterness, but realism. If the message isn't landing, there's no point forcing it. This particular video was a small jab at the right. I'm tired of the same armchair critics who sit back, complain non-stop, and never actually build or do anything. They don't lead, they don't create. They just react to whatever's trending that week and call it insight. On a lighter note, there's not much happening in gaming right now. I've heard nothing but negative reviews about the new Silent Hill movie, which was disappointing because I genuinely had high hopes for it. Let me know what movie you are looking forward to, and by the time this video drops, Epic Games will have a new free game available. It's definitely not fried chicken, so grab that while you can. With Botany Manor being the next free game, February 6th till February 13th. Cthulhu, The Cosmic Abyss, drops on April 16th, and it looks insane. So I'm thinking of live streaming it. I'm also keen to play Resident Evil 007 First Light and Directive 8020. Let me know which one you'd like to see me play. It honestly breaks my heart seeing so many EB game stores closing across Australia and New Zealand. They are one of the few retailers that genuinely care about their customers and still offer solid value and real service. If gaming ever goes fully digital, I'd probably just move to PC. Because losing places like EB would be the final nail in the coffin. Now back to the video.
Okay, time for a rant about one of the biggest and frankly most annoying problems on the political left today. And this is coming from someone who is firmly on the left. I am so fed up with all those people here who have turned politics into purity tests, who have replaced real organizing with online callouts, and who seem to care more about their own moral purity than about actually achieving results. There is this maddening leftist pride today in being pure and irrelevant. Too many people would rather be right in the comment section than actually win in the real world. But in the fight against injustice, winning isn't some optional thing. Winning is a moral duty. And you know what we need in order to win? Other people, a coalition. Every great movement throughout history, it was a coalition of people who very often didn't agree with one another. The abolitionism, the women's rights movement, the civil rights movement, the same story over and over again. These were coalitions of people who very often, stood on other sides of important debates, but they still worked together. So here's a useful rule of thumb. If someone agrees with you for 80% of the time, then that person is an ally, not your enemy. It's 2025, democracy is falling apart, and this is not a time for purity politics. It's a time to work together, it's a time to win, it's a time for power politics.
To serve and protect, they say.
So at this moment, are you thinking about necking yourself? No. You never just do it anyway. Do you want to do the breath test? No, good. So there's an extra charge. Also, do you have any parents? No parents. You just magically appeared on the face of the earth. Do you have any other medical issues we should know about? Do you have any physical injuries? Have you been diagnosed with a mental health issue? You should.
Let's talk about something that's been on my mind for a while. This whole idea that change just magically happens because people get upset loud enough. It doesn't. Change isn't born out of knee-jerk reactions. It's born out of ideals. Real ones. Consistent ones. Not just feelings and outrage. But we live in a world that confuses emotional outbursts with moral strength. Everyone's angry. Everyone's tweeting. But almost nobody is thinking. People treat every emotional impulse like a political position. Someone gets offended, and suddenly there's a movement, a protest, a new wave of activism. All driven by pure reaction. But most of it dies the second the dopamine fades. You can't build a future off feelings. You need structure. You need values that stay solid when things get uncomfortable. And here's where it gets interesting. Because when you look at both sides of the political spectrum, neither has nailed this balance. The left does one thing really well. They understand the science of change. They organise. They strategize. They pick an idea and they plan for it like it's a campaign, not a tantrum. The left can see decades into the future. They build foundations, infiltrate institutions, and they move piece by piece until the world shifts around them. You might not agree with all their values, but you have to respect the discipline. That's what I like about the left. They know that emotion is just the spark. The real work starts after the fire. They write the blueprints. They network. They play the long game. They are not just yelling on the internet. They are reshaping schools, policies, media, and language itself. They create the culture, and culture always wins before politics does. It's not magic, it's intentional. That's why they keep pushing history forward, because they plan for it. Now compare that to most of the right wing, especially online. It's chaos. It's 10 different personalities arguing over who's the true conservative. Everyone obsessed with defending traditional values that most can't even define, let alone live by. Instead of debating what the future could look like, they are stuck in nostalgia, clinging to a vague memory of how things used to be. Even though those systems already broke. You hear them talk about masculinity, family, work ethic, religion. But it's more performance than principle. They worship symbols, not ideals. That's the main problem. Right-wing traditionalism today is cosplay. People are posturing as guardians of civilization, while refusing to innovate or adapt. They think saying we need tradition is enough. But tradition, without reflection, is just dead weight. The world moved, technology, culture, values, and they didn't evolve their model to fit it. They are trying to install Windows 95 on modern hardware. No wonder it crashes. Meanwhile, the left sees where the world's going and adapts. That's their strength. Even if you don't like what they are pushing, they are at least facing forward. The right keeps facing backward, polishing the ruins of a system they refuse to modernise. And when you build your entire identity around resistance to change, you end up fighting battles that don't even matter anymore. They lose not because they are wrong about everything, but because they refuse to play the game strategically. It's insane how predictable the pattern is. The left demands change, and whether people agree or not, They get it eventually because they grind for it. They write the scripts, dominate the narrative, position themselves in the right places. The right reacts, always reacting, always outraged. It's the same emotional world they claim to hate. Reaction without vision. They become the mirror image of the emotional left, just angrier and less organised. You can't call yourself the side of tradition and order if all you do is bicker online. The left builds communities. The right builds echo chambers. The left sets agendas. The right argues about definitions. One side plays chess. The other side keeps flipping the board. And this is where the deeper truth kicks in. Change happens because someone had an ideal, not a meltdown. The left at least understands that. They might not always have the right ideals. Some of their ideals lead to chaos too. But they believe in something enough to coordinate. The right has become addicted to reaction. They think that being loud and owning the libs equals defending civilization. It doesn't. It's just noise. If the right ever wants to win culturally again, they need to rediscover what actually built the old world. Not nostalgia, not authority, but clear ideals about responsibility, meaning, and truth. That's what made those systems work back then. It wasn't because people sat around romanticising the past. It was because they believed in a higher ideal. Duty, family, purpose. And they lived it. Now, it's just memes and moral panic. The truth is, both sides have lost something essential. The left's ideals sometimes turn into ideology. They get so obsessed with progress that they start to reject stability altogether. They want constant change, endless reinvention, and that creates chaos. On the other hand, the right's obsession with preserving things as they were has turned into decay. They reject evolution so much that they've made stagnation their identity. It's the same disease, just on different ends of the timeline. Both have emotion without balance. Change thrives in the middle. In the space between emotion and structure, between tradition and innovation, the left knows how to start fires. The right should know how to build institutions sturdy enough to contain and guide those fires. But instead, both act like rival cults fighting over moral territory. Nobody's thinking long term anymore. Nobody's asking, what kind of world do we actually want to build? Progress isn't the enemy of tradition, and tradition isn't the enemy of progress. The enemy is reaction. The idea that you could just feel your way into a better future without thinking, planning, or committing to values that hold true across time. The left succeeds because they commit, even when their ideas are controversial. The right fails because they wait for the future to fix itself. They complain when it doesn't. So yes, change is driven by ideals, not by outrage. not by nostalgia, not by random emotional impulses that feel good in the moment. Ideals are what separate revolutions from riots, and principles from dogmas. And we are living through an age that desperately needs more ideals, not just from one side, but from all of us. Ideals that are brave enough to challenge emotion and discipline, enough to outlast it. Because at the end of the day, feelings fade. Outrage burns out. But ideals, they build nations. They build civilizations. They turn moments into movements and chaos into history. Everything else is just noise. Loud, distracting, temporary noise. Until someone finally stands up and says, enough, let's build something real. And that's really the whole point, isn't it? Change only means something when it's built on something real. You can't scream your way into a better world. And you can't clean your way back to an older one. You've got to build the future of ideals on conviction, patience, and backbone. Everything else is just noise pretending to be purpose. Anyway, that's my take. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm the crazy one. But if any of that hit you, if it made you think more than 10 seconds, do the simple thing, drop a like, leave a comment. Tell me what side of this argument you actually stand on. Do you think the left's way of organising wins in the long run? Or do you think the right should evolve before it disappears? Hit subscribe if you want more long-form breakdowns like this. Raw, no filter, straight to the point. I'm not chasing trends. I'm chasing truth. So if that's your vibe too, welcome to the channel. Let's keep the conversation dangerous and honest. I'll catch you in the next one.